What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I'm back today to give you a review of the Simpsons collaboration with Adidas on this Homer Simpson Stan Smith. So we've all probably seen that famous meme or GIF by now of Homer Simpson slowly walking back, retreating into the bush. And Adidas obviously has embraced that meme by releasing these special edition Stan Smiths. So I believe these are releasing sometime later this month in the US, but they actually already released here on the Adidas Canada website back on August 1st, and they retailed for a price of 160 Canadian dollars, and I believe the retail price in the US should be 130 USD. The official colorway for this shoe is cloud white, cream white, and green. And at first glance, this looks like your normal typical Stan Smith, but there are some special details that make the shoe really special and unique to The Simpsons. Before we take a look at the shoes, here's a quick look at the box. So this comes in a special box for this release, which I thought was really dope. Obviously, instead of the typical blue colored Adidas Originals box, it's been replaced by green, mimicking the color of the bush or the shrub. And on the bottom, we have Homer Simpson, who's seemingly disappearing into the box, which I thought was hilarious. And then on both sides of the box, we have both the Adidas Trefoil logo, along with the Simpsons branding here, and the Adidas 3 stripes. As for the shoe itself, so diving into the details, basically the entire upper is crafted using this very smooth white colored leather. So you can see on the toe box, this is entirely covered in this white colored leather, and then covering the side panels of the shoe, we have the same leather here as well. For the eyelets, they're done in this metallic circular finish in white, and then on the mid panel underneath this, we have the Adidas 3 stripes, which is depicted in these 3 slanted columns of perforations. And then on the lateral side only, instead of Stan Smith branding, here we have Homer Simpson branding pressed on in this metallic gold finish. Moving downwards, you can see we have more of that same smooth white leather. This wraps around the back of the shoe, and then we have an additional strip of leather running down the bottom of the heel, and then on the top, it still retains that signature green shade like your typical Stan Smith, but in this case it has this chenille finish, which again is inspired by the bushes that Homer Simpson is retreating into. And then embroidered in the center, we have Homer Simpson himself. As far as the laces go, so nothing special here. Here we have your normal flat style lace in white, which feels very soft and broken into the touch. Underneath this, the tongue is entirely constructed out of that same smooth white leather, and then on the very top of the tongue, instead of Stan Smith's face, here we have an image of Homer Simpson instead, which again I thought was really great. And you can see this is a very thin leather tongue, and the edges are left unfinished, so you can see the entire cross section of the tongue right here. The interior of the shoe has very little padding to it, but it is covered in this thin lining of white colored leather. And then as far as the insoles go, these actually come with a leather-lined green insole, and there's a layer of foam underneath, and then stitched onto the heel we have both Adidas and the Simpsons co-branding. So the upper of the Stan Smith sits atop this solid rubber cupsole, which is painted in this vintage-looking cream or off-white color. On the lateral side of the heel we have Adidas branding, and then turning this pair over to the bottom, this outsole is done in that same cream-colored rubber. So we have your typical traction pattern that's commonly seen across any Stan Smith. It's basically these circular nubs, and then in the middle we have this cutout revealing this Adidas branding. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair, and for those wondering about sizing, so I feel like the Adidas Stan Smith is a bit of a tricky shoe to get sizing right. It is a pretty narrow fitting shoe and it runs pretty long, so I got these in both my true size as well as a half size down just to compare the fit. So my foot measures as a true size 10, slightly on the wider side. So for the size 10, which is true to size, the width of the shoe was perfectly fine, but I felt like there's a lot of space around this midfoot area. So because of that, I was lacing up the laces super tight to the point where the flaps of the shoe were very close to touching. And while the width of the toe box was good, there was over a thumb's width between the edge of the shoe and the top of my toe, which in my opinion is way too much room. And in comparison, going down a half size to a 9.5, the length of the shoe was good. There was about an index finger's width between the top of the shoe and the top of my toe, and the midfoot area was perfectly fine. The problem I had though was the width of the toe box. Going a half size down, I could already feel the leather on the sides of the toe, putting a lot of pressure on my foot, and maybe it's just a matter of breaking in the shoe, but as it was straight out of the box, it was noticeably quite tight. So it comes down to your foot shape. If you have a narrow or normal width foot, I feel like you can get away with going half size down, but if you do have more of a wider foot, I feel like the Stan Smith isn't really the shoe for you. Moving on to the comfort, so the Stan Smith honestly is not that comfortable of a shoe. It's very minimalistic in terms of padding underfoot, so it's a very flat, firm, and low to the ground feeling sneaker, which some people definitely appreciate. But when you compare this to modern day sneakers with a lot of technology within them, it's really in a different class. So if you're someone that appreciates sneakers like, for example, a Converse Chuck Taylor, I think that the Stan Smith will be right up your alley. But if you're more used to modern day sneakers, then you probably feel that these are pretty uncomfortable. Finally, in terms of the quality and craftsmanship, so first off, material quality I thought was okay. This leather is a genuine leather, but it honestly wasn't that impressive. You run your fingers across it, you can kind of see the leather grains, but you can tell there's this thick coating on top of it, which gives the leather a bit of that stiff feel. But because this is a rather thin cut of leather, I feel like it won't take long to really break it in, but just from a quality standpoint, it wasn't that great. And from a build and craftsmanship standpoint, I thought this pair was pretty solid. I didn't notice any major flaws at all in my pair. The stitch job was good, the embroidery of Homer Simpson on the back was solid as well, so I really had no complaints from that standpoint. So with all that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up for you, and I'll show you guys how these look. For anyone that's remotely aware of pop culture, I'm sure you've seen that famous meme or GIF by now. So like I said in the beginning, it's pretty funny how Adidas actually turned this into a real sneaker. I definitely appreciate how they executed it rather tastefully. It's not overly in your face, and it still retains the classic look of the Stan Smith, which I think is really important. So this is a good balance between being a wearable sneaker and one that still pays homage to Homer Simpson. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this Homer Simpson Stan Smith. Is this a shoe you would pick up and rock? Is it too simple for you? Were you expecting something more? Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Instagram at esco8, follow my Twitter account at sean.go, and visit my website at seango.ca. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.